Thanks for having me.
Jim is more commonly referred to as Coach Jim here in the Rebellion, and I have the pleasure of interviewing him today and stealing all of his secrets.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to share.
Great, great. Jim is the head of fitness here at Nerd Fitness, and you've been part of the team now for 7 years, where he's done many amazing things, including
Over
launching
7, yep.
our coaching program, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Before that, Jim was a personal trainer for over a decade, where he won Best Personal Trainer from the Washington City paper, which is pretty awesome. Jim was also the CrossFit director for CrossFit Foggy Bottom, where he
CrossFit
won,
Foggy Bottom in DC. You got it.
yeah, where the gym won Best CrossFit Gym in DC, which is also awesome. This is great. Jim's won the Men's Health magazine How Fit Are You contest twice, which is great. And
With I'll jump into that as real quick. That was something a video submission, and then people voted on it on the display of fitness. And each time I won a Bowflex. So which I sold. I didn't have space for them or the need for them at the time because I worked in a gym. But it was nice. It was nice to have that little
that's hilarious
ego boost, as it were. So
I would have put both Bowflexes right next to each other.
Just dueling Bowflexes.
Yeah. My shiny award sort of thing. And then lastly here on my bio, Jim's completed more fitness and nutrition certificates than I can count. I was looking at the long list, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put a caveat that clearly continued education is an important part for Jim. So
absolutely, yeah. I've for people that care about the alphabet soup, I've gotten my Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification from the NSCA, so the NSCA CSCS. That's a big one. That's the one I got first off for being a personal trainer. I was CrossFit certified, of course, since I was a director of that CrossFit facility and a CrossFit coach for a number of years. Precision nutrition certified as well too. I definitely wanted to increase my nutritional knowledge and chops there. USAW, so that's the weightlifting certification. USAW certified. Weightlifting is what they do in the Olympics, where they're throwing the weight over their head. That's a little bit different than powerlifting, which is the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. So I've done actually
right.
Both of them,
the Olympics is like the clean and jerk and a lot of that.
The snatch.
Right?
Yep. Clean and jerk and the snatch right now. Yep. Those are the two contested lifts. So USAW certified, and of course I've been a coach and a competitor for a number of years in that. Let's see, FRC certification as well too. Functional range conditioning. That's just a way to build up mobility and control in the body. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. I don't try to go collect the certs, but I've definitely grabbed a whole bunch of interesting ones over the years, and they've all been really, really helpful. So.
I mean, it just shows in your breadth of knowledge of everything. Like, I mean, you're head of the fitness here for a reason, right? And
I've done a fair amount, I suppose. Yeah, I've done a fair amount.
So Jim, I kind of wanted to start kind of at the very basics in the beginning of what made you actually want to get into coaching.
Yeah, so I started in coaching coming up on 2 decades ago, which is crazy when I do the math. But I actually did not go to college for this, and my first job out of college was not physical fitness related, coaching related. I actually graduated with a degree in sociology. I couldn't tell you if I ever have used that per se, but I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. People say that sociology, it's you can learn to relate to people, but I don't know how that necessarily translates to coaching. But I was actually working commercial real estate. First about 1.5 years out of college. And with commercial real estate, I was at a desk for a long periods of time, throughout the day. And I just didn't like it. I did not like it. And it was actually, I just knew I wanted something different. And I kept on, I looked back and I was like, what have I enjoyed? What have I, really liked in my hobbies, even back in college? And even back in college, I would help friends work out, put together programs, things like that. And I was like, you know what, I really like that. And I just like the physical aspect. I was just feeling too antsy at the desk. So the job itself, the commercial real estate job, it was a great job, but it was not a great job for me. And I think that's a really important thing, to kind of distinguish. So I started working toward my personal trainer certification and switched on over. In between, as I was kind of doing all that, I was doing some junk removal and moving jobs, so keeping active there. But ended up jumping into personal training full-time fall of 2005, I believe it was. I loved it. I loved it day one. Being able to interact with the clients on a daily basis, being active myself, helping them as well too, was just such a fantastic thing to be able to do. And I just knew it was a good fit. And yeah, here we are 20 years
Yeah.
later.
I
So
and I was gonna ask you what's your favorite part about the job, but I think I'm kind of hearing it right. It's
yeah,
this it's helping people be active, the ability to kind of be active yourself and to have all this kind of fit together.
yeah, absolutely. I think, and people have definitely asked me this a lot because people say you seem to really like your job. I'm like, "Yeah, I love my job, and I think it's a matter of transformation, of helping
Mm,
people transform. And now, of course, you can think about transformation of like I've lost weight and I've helped people lose anywhere from 5 to 100 pounds, no problem. But I think even more so, what really kind of lights the fire in me is seeing the transformation just mentally and emotionally time and
mm.
time again, when people would come in for personal training sessions, or especially when people were coming in for group classes, people were scared. Like that's literally like the best description for it. Like they would come in and you could see just in their eyes and their demeanor how like they just weren't sure of themselves. Like they didn't feel like they were in the right place. They weren't sure of what their body could do, and just bit by bit, just a really healthy, supportive environment that you had in class or in personal training sessions, you would slowly start to see them realize, oh, you know what, I can do this. I am capable of this. I never thought I'd be capable of this. And people that, never thought they could do a chin up are doing 10 chin ups, weighted chin ups. They're doing crazy skills that they never thought they could. Even if it's not even a matter of PRs, just the fact that they realize they're a lot more capable, and you can see that change in their eyes, and that just still to this day just gives me shivers. So
Yeah, it's something that so I interview a lot of here at Nerd
yeah.
Fitness and always ask them, what's changed about you and all this, and everyone kind of comes back to their mindset, and it's that I can do a lot does come up once they've kind of realized, oh, if I can excel in this environment, I can excel in other environments too by kind of using these same concepts of breaking things into smaller pieces and just breaking that initial inertia and all that kind of stuff. It's so applicable whether it's fitness
Mhm.
related or starting a business or reading or writing a book or a
100%.
lot of
Yeah,
the same things. Yeah.
100%. I mean, I could wax philosophical about this all day, but I mean, that's the advantage of training is you are pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You are
Mm.
testing your limits in a more controlled environment. And yeah, you realize that you're a lot stronger than you think you were. And you take that strength and you apply it to every aspect of your life. And I actually use that as well too on the sort of the reverse, where if someone is feeling a little apprehensive or feel like they're not capable in the physical fitness realm of any sorts, I ask them, hey, look at where you had victories outside the world of physical fitness and nutrition. Like everyone who is coming to see me, with personal training or whatever, they've got some sort of success in their life. That's why they're
Right.
able to afford personal training. But
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I say, okay, you've had some sort of challenge in your life, you've had some sort of obstacle you've overcome. Tap into that strength. Let's apply it here. So it works both ways, and that's why I mean everyone should be moving around in some way, shape, or form. They should be pushing themselves a little bit in their training because it's so beneficial and such a great feedback loop.
Totally, totally. Agreed. And actually, let's take a minute here and talk about your daily movement and all this kind of stuff. Because everyone's always asked, how do the trainers do it, and how do the
How the trainers
coaches
train,
actually
yeah.
live, and all this kind of stuff. So, can you maybe talk a little bit, like, what's your daily routine or your weekly routine, or what
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
do you do? How often are you in the gym? Those kind of things.
So first off, this has definitely changed a lot over the years. I mean,
Mm,
just since I've
right.
been moving around for years and years and years. But so there's been periods of time where like I'm focused on a powerlifting competition or Olympic lifting competition, or way back in the day, and when I was in gymnastics group. So like my training looked radically different, and I think that's the one thing to keep in mind is that however your training looks, it might change completely. The next month, the next year, or whatever it might be. So mine right now, currently, what it is I am working on just some specific gymnastic skills. I'm
Mm,
working on my bridge. I'm working also on essentially like a center split flexibility, a goal. So I've got that I'm working in with my workouts, and then I also just want to kind of maintain my strength in a lot of exercises, the deadlifts or the squats. I'm not trying to go for PRs at the moment. That requires a lot of focus, which I just honestly don't want to put time in for. And then I'm also doing a bit of some bodybuilding work because for all the different PRs that I've hit in different lifts, I'm like, you know what? I'll still like my shoulders to look a little bit different. I'll still like my arms to look a little bit different. And hey,
Okay.
let's give this a go. So it's a huge hybrid. I know this sounds already like a mess, but I have just small little goals here and there, and other things are in maintenance, or I just kind of work them normally. Over the course of the week, I'm doing an upper lower split. So when I go into the gym, today, for instance, is the lower day. I'll go in, I'll work a couple exercises for the lower body, get out. The next time that I work lower body over the course of the week, a couple days later, I'll do a different set of exercises. So I get like a good mix of things. Then I'll just go back and forth between that. I'll do the same thing with the upper body as well too. So I go into the gym. I'm working a certain set of exercises on one day, a certain set of exercises on the other day, just alternating back and forth. But I'm getting in the gym about 4 to 5 times a week right now.
I was gonna say, if I did the math there, so it's about twice a week for upper body, twice a week for lower body.
Yeah, and it kind of, like I said, it's fuzzy math, and it kind of moves around depending on my schedule, but around there. Upper lower split is definitely a good split I found for myself and clients when they are ready to step beyond, both in terms of their schedule and just their goals, when they're ready to step beyond just the total body. So total body 3 times a week is awesome. I think everyone should be doing something in that regard. Just, hey, am I getting in? Am I pushing something, pulling something, lifting something with my lower body? But if they need a little bit more work, a little bit more volume, if they've kind of hit a little bit more of the beginner intermediate phase, then an upper lower split is a really, really solid one to go to. So my upper body, I'm doing pushing and pulling. My lower body, again, I'm doing various exercises relevant for that. So,
right.
Yeah,
Just kind of for the layman there. So you're really just fatiguing your upper body like one day, and then you're kind of going back, and then you're doing your lower body the other day. So it's kind of allowing perhaps more of that upper body to recover while you're training your lower. Yeah. So that's kind of where it is.
Absolutely.
Whereas if more of you're a beginner, you're probably not taxing all of your muscles quite as much because you're kind of just getting started. So you can kind of get away with doing everything, coming back a little bit later in the week and just doing it all again.
Absolutely. And total body structure where you are working, pushing, pulling, and lower body in one workout. I'll do that plenty of times as well too, if I don't maybe have as much time, if I'm only able to get into the gym 1, 2, 3 times a week. But if I do have the extra time and I want a little bit of more extra work to push some of my progress, then I'll start doing in the upper lower split. But yeah, exactly what you said. Like, you work the upper body one day, it's essentially resting as you're working your lower body. Your lower body rests as you're doing your upper body, back and forth like that. So it's a great structure, and one I definitely recommend. So
okay. Next opponent, walks and stuff like that. I know you got your pup, who's maybe not quite a pup anymore, Scooter. How often how often are things outside of the gym happening in your life? I'm sure there's a lot of walks because of that, but how do you think about this? Do you have like step goals? Do you have like, I got to do this at least once a day, or what's your mind frame around that?
No, great question on that one. So first off, when I was working in a gym, I was literally walking 5 miles, 5+ miles a day.
Oh yeah, here,
yeah, exactly. That wasn't. I didn't even try to do that. It was just moving around, teaching classes, helping clients. When I switched actually to work for Nerd Fitness 7 years ago, it was something that I didn't think about. I was like, I was just like, yeah, I'm moving less, but I didn't realize how much my steps had decreased. So this is something now, particularly in the past year or two, I've really had to make a concerted effort to get in more steps, because just walking the dog. So for those of you who don't know, and maybe we'll slap a picture up on the screen. Absolutely, he's adorable. My dog is a 10-pound Pomeranian, so we're not running 100 miles. We're not walking, for an hour. So I need to get extra steps in, because again, just like a lot of people, I'm sitting down at a desk for the majority of the day. So I am going into the gym, and I am, of course, doing the split, like I said, upper lower split, working all sorts of things. But in terms of just moving around extra past that, I was walking around outside a lot, and I still do that plenty of times. But I also was able to luckily get just a real bare bones treadmill, literally human powered. That doesn't even have like an actual legit motor on it. I was able to get one of those in my house, in my basement. So there's plenty of times I'll finish up the day, and as I'm maybe scrolling through my phone and kind of getting ready for the next day, and kind of wrapping up things, as it were, my to-do list, I'll just get up on the treadmill and I'll walk for 15, 20, 30 minutes or whatever it might be. So that extra walk has actually helped a lot just in terms of my cardio, my mood, my levels in like my blood tests and things like that, just my overall health. So I definitely had to make that effort, as I mentioned, and yeah, I structured it to be able to do that. I also have on top of that, and this is I recently switched gyms to one that's a little bit closer. I can talk about this later, but I also picked up a couple months ago just a cheap old kick around bike. So I actually all bike around and do a lot of errands on my bike in the neighborhood, and that's great as well too. Because again, it would be very easy for me to sit at the desk and not walk much, and it would be very easy for me to hop in a car and do errands that I could do on a bike. Whereas like you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to specifically add in more of that little extra cardio sprinkled throughout the day.
Yeah, and that's great that you live in a community that is bikeable and that you can zip
Yeah.
around and everything like that. And yeah, if that's an option for people, that's an easy way to kind of increase this like cardio metric. I mean, it's not necessarily steps, but it's kind of steps, right? It's the same
Yeah.
kind of idea.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we don't have to
Yeah.
get so focused on steps, right? It's something that's kind of keeping your heart rate up and stuff like that too. It could even be stairs. It can be, what.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll tell people if they're like maybe busy at work, like, hey, you know what? Like if you got like a 5 or 10 minute break, just yeah, take a lap around the building, up and down steps, whatever you need to do. In terms of step counts, I have gotten a pedometer and I
Mm.
have tracked my steps before. It was more a matter of to see where I was. Like, okay, I put
Oh,
this
okay,
on.
right.
Oh, I'm not getting 1,000 steps a day. This is this is a little bit of an issue.
Right, just
So
establish a baseline and then kind of see
exactly.
where you're going and yeah.
And then see where you're going. And you're like, okay, now I know, I definitely know, I confirmed what I already kind of knew, which was I'm not getting enough steps in throughout the day. And I was like, okay, what can I do to purposely get more steps in? Now, do I track the steps right now? No, I don't need to at the moment. I honestly don't know how much I get, but I do get a lot of again concerted movement with the biking, with the treadmill or the neighborhood walk or whatever it might be. So that's changed my habit, and just knowing where I was before made a huge difference in that. So grab the numbers, and this is going to I think be applicable to a lot of things we talk about, whether it's workouts, nutrition, whatever. Grab the numbers if you need to. If you're not quite sure where you are, but other than that, if you don't need the numbers, don't stress over the numbers. Like if you need calories, if you need to weigh food at some point, just to kind of get an idea of what things are, do it. But if it's stressing you out, if it's too much trouble, then don't necessarily focus on that. So for me, I'm not stressing on perfect steps right now, or I don't have any sort of Apple Watch or whatever it might be
Right.
at the moment. But yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned nutrition there, and then that was something I was going to talk about is what's your nutrition strategy? What do you are you tracking things, or do you have a certain, you know,
Yeah.
diet that you're trying to follow? Like what's this look like for Jim?
So same sort of thing as we kind of just talked about. Like I have, of course, weighed stuff in the past, tracked stuff in the past, used popular calorie trackers like MyFitnessPal, and again, it's given me a better sense of where I am with just whatever my normal sort of speed and pace is and my normal habits. Where does that put me in terms of calories, in terms of macros or whatnot? So I've gotten that specific data when I've needed it. At the moment, I haven't for quite some time because I've kind of fallen into a pretty solid routine.
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
at some point you kind of know, you're like, okay, I know what's in that chicken breast. I know what's in this, and it's been
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
easier
exactly,
for
and
you.
and just
Yeah.
yeah, and that's exactly it. And some people, maybe get there more than faster than others. And of course, there's plenty of times when I will kind of pick off and step off the exact numbers, but then maybe have to go back on them again and say, okay, I just need a little bit more of a calibration or recalibration with things, and I need to get more specific for a couple days, a week or two. But at the moment, right now, my dietary strategy, I guess if you call it that, is actually very similar, I suppose, to our Nerd Fitness Healthy Plate.
Mm.
So I will also flash that on the screen. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe put my dog next to it as well too, so people pay attention. But the Nerd Fitness
Yeah,
Healthy
more
Plate,
scooter, it'll help.
yeah, I love him all to death. So the Nerd Fitness Healthy Plate, for those of you not familiar, it's just a very very easy way to kind of eyeball and guesstimate what you can put on your plate to get a relatively balanced meal. So of course we're stressing fruits and vegetables. We've got serving of carbs, we've got serving of protein, we've got some healthy fats. So what I'm looking for over the course of the day, first off, is definitely getting some sort of fruit or vegetable in every meal
Mm.
as I'm able to. And for me in particular, over the past couple of months, I've really had to make the intention of getting more fruits and veggies in for breakfast. I was really, really bad about that for a number of years, where it would be eggs and toast or something like that, and not a fruit or vegetable to be seen. So getting working that in was something that I had to work on. So fruits and vegetables every single meal. I'll also lean on them heavily for snacks as well too. So I've got berries, apples, bananas, whatever it might be for snacks. Um, I'm also, in terms of snacks, while I'm on that topic, I'll also have a protein shake many times, either maybe late morning after my workout or in the afternoon or whatever it might be, just to make sure I'm getting enough protein throughout the day. Every meal also has a good solid source of protein, whether that is animal or plant-based. I've actually been cooking up a lot more tofu over the past several months as well too. So adding that into the diet as well too, just seeing how I feel, and seeing how my body reacts both physically and just in terms of like blood work and whatnot. And then with the all the meals as well too, I'm getting a carb source for just about every meal as well too. And then healthy fats come in the form of either something added to the meal or perhaps the cooking process if something has been cooked in olive oil or whatever it might be. So again, each one of them is fairly balanced, and then throwing a protein shake and some fruits and vegetables in for a snack throughout the day. And that's essentially what I'm looking at right now. And for me, I'm looking at three things in terms of like what my diet should accomplish for me. One is, do I have enough energy for all the stuff that I want to do? So when I bike to the gym, when I get in a workout, am I feeling pretty strong, pretty good? You know. Two is my weight and body composition kind of sitting where I wanted it to be? And right now, I've actually lost a bit of weight over the past couple months on purpose and in a slow, steady pace. But I just knew I just wasn't feeling good at a bit of a higher weight. So I use this scale as just like a rough estimate of, are my calories, fairly decent throughout the day. And then third, as I've kind of mentioned a little bit the past 5-10 minutes, is just going to the doctor and getting some blood work and seeing like how those numbers are as well too. So if you can get your energy in line, your body composition in line, and your health in line, whatever you're eating then is working. It's doing its thing, and that's really what I've been trying to focus on. And making adjustments as I need to. Again, adding fruits and vegetables if I needed to, or reducing cheese a little bit if I needed to throughout my diet, just to get everything from all three of those components in line.
There's something you said that it comes up all the time as something, a habit that folks have started doing, and that's essentially a protein shake and some kind of protein supplement. I feel like every time I talk to somebody about like what are their habits now and stuff like that, this is something they've kind of talked about now doing. Not to say that you need to supplement with a protein shake. There's totally ways to get enough protein from, meals and stuff like that, but it can get tricky. And a protein supplement like a shake or stuff like that can just be, it can almost be a meal replacement. It can be something that's quick. You can do it in the office or at home or something like that too. So it's something to keep in mind. Not to say that you have to do this, but if you're struggling with your protein goals, a pretty good solution would be some kind of shake or something like that.
Yeah, and in terms of protein, so Nerd Fitness, and we'll splash up the link and the picture of it. But we've got a protein calculator which gives a rough estimate on how much protein that you need. Again, this is not something that I calculate down to the number for myself right now. I just make sure, again, if I get protein each meal, and then
you can kind of figure it out. I eat X amount of times, and there's got to be X amount of grams with it. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. Well, as I said, you might want the numbers for a little bit, but then once you're like, okay, you know what, I'm eating the same breakfast all the time. I'm eating the same sort of portions for lunch and dinner, and I calculated it before, and it was good. Then I'm not going to be weighing it every single day. But essentially, yeah. So if you check your protein, and maybe you are, measuring things for a little bit and you realize you're a bit low, then exactly to your point, like protein shakes are quick and easy a way to get more protein in for less calories. Because sometimes what I see, this is a bit of a pitfall, people will see that, hey, you know what, I'm a little bit low in my protein, and they will start adding in a lot of calories to try to hit that protein goal. So, if I'm like, I'm going to eat, peanut butter and cheese and like essentially like higher calorie, fattier meats, and you'll hit your protein goal, but you'll probably blast way past your calorie goal. And for a lot of people, that's not conducive to their goals. So
Yeah, yeah, especially meat. There can be a lot of fat in the meat and all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, depending
yeah.
on what you're doing, it can be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also honestly just sometimes some days it's just a little bit harder to get that much protein in from these solid meat sources. Whereas, yeah, a little shake. Oh, I got 25 more grams of protein. This is great. This puts me up to where I want it to be. So again,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't say it's 100% essential, but it is incredibly helpful for a lot of people. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah, it triggered something when you mentioned it because I was like, I hear this all the time. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah.
no, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Um, Another question for you. So we've kind of talked a little bit about workouts and exercise. We've talked a little bit about nutrition. Any other kind of habits and stuff like this that you do that kind of, makes your lifestyle work or your fitness regimen work or anything like that? And habits that you've maybe developed over the years or things that just kind of help you be, the best gym you can be kind of thing.
Best gym in the gym, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. It was bound to happen.
I've never heard that one. I've never heard that one before. No, so yeah, I mean, we've talked, of course, about like workouts. We've talked about nutrition, but I think that's only two legs of a three-legged stool here. The third one, and we mentioned a bit about it at the beginning, is just mindset and headspace and how important, honestly, that is. And it's one of those things that Paul, you've mentioned that so many people, when they've transformed their lives in some way, shape, or form, maybe it's through weight loss, but maybe it's just they move around better, they feel better, less injury prone. You hear time and time again about how their confidence and their mindset has changed. So you hear it time and time again, but trying to essentially sell it on the front end is tough. people are like people are like
Yeah.
mindset, forget that. Give me the
Yeah,
six pack abs.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Selling
care what my mind
mindset,
is.
yeah.
So back to that point, and what's really helped me over the past couple of years is all this stuff that helps support the workouts and the nutrition. One is therapy. So I started. I'd never done therapy before. Start of 2021 actually, and I just knew it. I just knew I needed it. I was just really stressed. I was handling a lot of different things in my personal life, and I was like, I'm not handling this well, essentially. And I was like, I need to look into therapy. I need to be able to talk with a professional. It's great to talk to your friends or family or coworkers or whoever will listen to you. That's great, but nothing beats a pro, right? Nothing beats a pro. They know the exact steps and the exact things to say to take you through and take you from hopefully point A to point B in some sort of progress. So the long and short is I ended up signing up that January or February of that year. So yeah, it's been about 2.5 years now. I've been actually with the same therapist, not that you need to be, but I signed up for online therapy. I thought it was fantastic. I was able to, of course, message with my therapist, but also meet with them virtually like this and just have conversations as needed. So it was great to be able to have all these different options. I was able to talk through a lot of things, and yeah, I feel so much better, and I feel so much more emotionally stable. I still have bad days, as everyone does, but the peaks and the valleys don't feel quite as severe. The depressive episodes don't feel quite as often or as severe as well too. So there's just a lot of really positive things I've seen in my life, and anyone who's worked with me probably is tired of me recommending therapy. But for those of you who are able to do it, I highly recommend it. And as I mentioned, like you can do the online therapy, and I think it's incredibly accessible. I'm going to go on a slight rant here. Is that finding a therapist many times, I think, especially in the past, had been so challenging and so difficult. And if you are in the midst of needing a therapist, having to jump through 100 hoops to find a therapist is like the worst thing in the world. Like I feel so deeply for people that have to go through that and have to maybe go through different avenues to find a therapist. Whereas now, again, the fact that we do have this online therapy resources is just so helpful for a lot of people, for myself included.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was point A
No,
about
that's great.
one answer. Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
I was just going to say that, A, thank you for sharing that. And then B, this is something that our companies tries to be very open about how therapy has helped,
Mhm.
not only you, but Steve and many other coaches. And one thing that you kind of mentioned that I think is that when you actually need a therapist, it can be kind of like, oh God, now I have to go through all of this.
Yeah.
So even kind of establishing this relationship now when you might not even feel like you need it, which therapy is going to help everyone, to be honest with you. But
Yeah,
it can be good to establish this now, so that way, if there is a point where you're like, man, I really need some help here, it's
it's
basically
already set
calling
up.
this
Yeah,
person that you've already been talking to, instead of,
yeah.
oh, where do I go and stuff like that. And I'll one more thing I'll put on this. I was surprised about this, but Coach Claire mentioned this, and it's I've validated it. It's pretty true.
Hmm.
If you just Google your city plus free, therapy or anything like that, you'd be surprised what comes back. So
Wow.
if your insurance isn't covering things and stuff like that, I know it's not always easy for people. There actually are a lot of free resources now, and to your point, some of this is all done online now. So it's
Yeah.
even if it's in your city, you might not even have to go there. It could just be something that's built like this.
No, that's fantastic. That is great advice of kind of setting up your structures before you need them. I didn't do that at all. I'd say I was in the middle of, again, it's a very tumultuous times, but just again, my personal experience, it was very easy to log in, sign up, get connected with a therapist. And then, so I use Talkspace. I know there's other ones as well too. I also have the ability, if I want to switch therapists. So if I'm not jiving with
Mm.
them, it's just like, I think it's like hit a button and I switch if I needed to. So they remove the barriers a lot, which is really really great to see. Anyway, so yeah, I can't speak highly enough about just therapy in general. The other things that I've liked as well too have been meditation. I've been keeping up a meditation practice for the past several years. I do it literally daily, and with meditation, there might be times when it is literally a minute where I've got the Headspace app. Not that you need to use that. There's of course plenty of free resources there as well too. But just taking that time to take a couple of deep breaths and relax, especially at the end of the day, really really helpful. And there might be other times where I'm going 3 to 5 minutes or whatever, but that I've also really really liked as well too. The big things, the big sort of levers I've pulled in the past couple months, over the past I think it's about 3 months now. I've actually cut out alcohol, which is a huge one that I just felt like I needed to do. It was just one of those things where there was just enough signs where it was, you know what, I've enjoyed, you know, plenty of alcohol, you know, on the weekends with friends and whatnot. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to. I've cut out alcohol before competitions. When I was, especially, you know, years and years ago when I was competing powerlifting and Olympic lifting, I would go, you know, for like several weeks to a month before the competition, and I would see better results. But this was just, you know, it wasn't competition driven. It was just, you know what, I'm just going to stop. And it's not. And for me, it's worked really well. I really really liked it. I know that it's very challenging for a lot of people for many different reasons, and that can be an entire seminar
Yeah.
and talk in itself. But yeah, even just casual drinking on the weekends was still affecting me in a negative way. You know, obviously at the start of the week as I was recovering and just overall. So that's really really helped. That's been a big lever. And then another one, the past, what has this been? It's been about a month or a couple of weeks. I've been helped, and this has actually been helped and improved by not drinking, but I've been focusing more on sleep as well too, getting a more consistent routine in, so I'm not staying up super late, and then also changing my sleep environment. So our bedroom, it's upstairs and it's like a converted attic, and it was a bit warm and just not very comfortable. Finally set up a little in window unit, AC unit. I wish we had done it 2 years ago
Mm.
because we sleep so much better now. I'm not waking up in a full sweat. So I guess top to bottom bullet point list on this one is therapy is great, meditation is great, reducing or eliminating alcohol is great for me, and then focusing on optimizing my sleep. So none of those have anything to do with how much, you know, weight I'm lifting in the gym or what I'm cooking in the kitchen, but they all support each other. And honestly, I feel just so much better from all that. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I will just, as far as the sleep setup, I have noticed that myself too. Is like temperature is
yeah,
easily one of the
top
best
ones. Yeah.
driving force of getting like deep sleep where you're actually like just out. I found that to myself too. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the with sleep, and maybe some people have done sort of this audit, you know, themselves or not, but sleep, noise, light,
Yeah.
All those
Yeah,
are important.
eye
So
masks and all that kind of stuff, they can go great if you
yeah,
can't block out at your room or whatever. So yeah.
exactly. Blackout curtain or eye mask, or even literally just like a t-shirt over your face if you want to do something tonight. I'll sleep with earplugs. I know that's not always an option for everyone if they have to listen to kids wake up or doing anything like that. But I have earplugs in. My wife makes fun of me for all the stuff I slap on my face, but
You got like
it's
armor all over yourself, yeah.
100%. So we got the AC running. I got my eye mask on. I've got my earplugs in. I've got actually a mouth guard as well too, because I grind my teeth. So that was just, of course, just
Yeah.
dental visits. They let me know that. And then what's also really helped me is those nasal strips opening my nose. So I
Yeah.
really breathe much, much better there. So again, I do have a lot of, a lot of stuff on my
Well,
face when I go to bed, but every single one of them, it makes a difference. And it was all, with all these things, you don't do it all of a sudden. You just kind of like try something. Does it work or not? Cool. It works. I'll keep it. It doesn't work. Get rid of it. And then you just keep on auditing your sleep process, your
yeah.
sleep environment, what you do, and see what helps and see what doesn't help. So
Yeah. Last thing before we move here is
absolutely.
as far as like even the routine, I've noticed this myself that like once I put the eye mask on, it's almost a signal to my body to go to bed because I'm so used
Mhm.
to it now that it's just once it goes on, like I don't know, it's just something about it. This
Yeah,
is now part of my process that now I'm there. It's like, oh, this is sleep. Like this is what I do when this thing's on my face. So
100%.
yeah, a lot of these routines, like at first it might seem weird, but after a while, your body will get used to it and it'll actually help you trigger sleep.
Absolutely. And in terms of sleep and sleep routines, having consistent sleep time, even on the weekends, is a huge help as well too. If you have a consistent routine on the weekday, and then weekend comes and you're staying up till 2, doing whatever, drinking a lot of times, I was doing that. Then yeah, that's going to throw off, of course, my sleep and my routine over the rest of the week. So yeah, keeping things consistent there for that pre-sleep routine. A lot of different things that can help people as well that I've seen and that I've tried myself. Obviously, like staying away from screen time, that's a big one. So maybe you're reading, as you're laying in bed and relaxing. So I've got a book by my bed as well. Journaling is another great one as well too. Plenty of times we've got just our mind racing, and that will affect how we sleep. My meditation and my stretching. So again, I do some stretching at night most nights, and I do meditation, end of the day or close to bedtime. That is also another thing that just kind of reduces all this the stress that's been kind of buzzing around my body all day. So doing your sleep audit and really improving that bit by bit is going to help. It's going to support your strength increases. It's going to support any sort of weight loss efforts as well too. So make sure you're not neglecting that mindset and sort of headspace leg of the stool.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Switching gears a little bit. So you're obviously an expert at the gym, whether it's programming workouts or actually being a person, one of the characters in the gym and all that kind of
I'm
stuff as a
still
personal
always
trainer.
learning. Still always learning.
Yeah. What's a mistake that you see beginners make at the gym a lot? Just something that, comes up all the time, or maybe in your own coaching, that just something that somebody kind of maybe stumbles right out the gate or something like that. Something that maybe somebody who's starting their fitness journey can kind of be aware of, that this is maybe a common pitfall.
At the gym, I think the biggest mistake is that they use my squat rack without asking. Just kidding, everyone.
You
Anyone
know who you are, though.
Yeah. Anyone who hogs gym equipment is a jerk. So that is not your fault. If you are a newbie at the gym, you have just as much right to any piece of equipment as anyone else. It doesn't matter if it's your first day or your 1,000th day. So anyone who's hogging and making you feel like you don't belong in the gym or you don't belong on a certain piece of equipment, like, oh, why are you using the squat rack? You should be using it. No, they are a jerk. They're in the wrong. You are in the right. But back to your actual question. So this is also another question that I get a lot, and I always think about because people will ask me for advice, and I'm gonna answer it in two ways in terms of two mistakes, but you're gonna see that they actually come from the same source. The first thing I see a lot is that people are worried too much about the minutia. So they are majoring in the minors, as we say. So, like what's my meal timing and what's the exact sets and reps I need to do, and this, and then they focus on all these, again, small details as opposed to the bigger, broad brushstrokes. Like Uh, are you having fruits and vegetables every day? Are you drinking some water? Are you moving around? Like that's the broad brushstroke, you know. So don't get caught in the details. And it's really easy to get caught in the details because that's what people will advertise. That's what on social media that they'll post about because that's the actual maybe points for slight debate. But no one's
Mm,
debating a lot of the basics, right? The basics aren't cool, the basics aren't sexy, but they do the job. So don't get caught in that minutia. Just think of what are the big broad brushstrokes. Are you going to get everything perfect? No. Are you going to get everything absolutely optimized? No. But if it was rocket science, we'd be building rockets. Okay. So don't don't stress about that in terms of I need to get every single thing perfect before I do anything right. Just get moving around, get eating a little bit healthier than you are, drink some water, get some sleep, and you're going to be much better off than you were before. So that's the first thing. Don't focus on the minutia. Don't major in the minors. The second thing is the big mistake that I see is the inability with their workout, nutrition, mindset habits, inability to adjust. So
mm.
I have never been a paid professional athlete. I'm sure you have not either, but like we all have life to deal with at some point, you know, whether it's work stress, family stress, there's any number of things that can come up and throw our day sideways. And you absolutely need to be able to adjust all your habits, every single one of your habits. So actually today's a perfect example. I was running around doing a bunch of errands. When I ran into the gym today, it was lower body day, but I got in and I just did some squats and then left. You know, I wanted to do maybe one or two more exercises if I had the time, but I didn't. It's okay. You know, no big deal. So there's that adjustment. There's the nutritional adjustment of, again, it's a busy day and I didn't get time to cook. You know, maybe I'm just grabbing a piece of fruit at a 7-Eleven, on the way home. Like again, there's any number of ways you can adjust it, but having the ability to adjust it and having some plans in place before you're in the thick of it, which really help. So the inability to adjust and having that all or nothing mindset that we talk about a lot of times, that is a huge mistake. And people, again, they think they need to have, the perfect home cooked meal or the hour and a half long workout, or it's not worth it. And you know what, like a half of a workout's not worth it. I don't feel like it's good enough. That is a huge mistake. And both those mistakes, both the inability to adjust, like I need to have the perfect thing or I'm not doing it, and I'm getting caught in this minutia, they all stem from that same spring of perfection, of I need to
Right.
be perfect. Like the minutia is I need everything absolutely perfect before I can take action. People also get paralysis by analysis, by too much information as well too. So too much information and thinking everything needs to be perfect with their routines and eating, that stops them in their place. And also, I need to be perfect with my routine, with all my habits, or they're not worth doing. That's again perfection. Just with that chokehold on you. And I see that time and time again with beginners. So being able to recognize it in yourself when you are caught up in perfection, being able to adjust, as I mentioned, and just get things going. Because again, action is going to be much better than sitting around planning all day. And then being okay with that adjustment as well too. Because people are very hard on themselves. Like, oh, you know what? I'm slacking because I didn't do this, or what's the point of a workout that's only X long or whatever. I've literally done workouts where it is a single exercise and I just did it for a minute and then I went to bed because I was too exhausted or I had no time or whatever it might be. Uh, there's been meditation sessions where it's been a breath or two, close my eyes for a breath or two and then done. It's that intention though, and I wasn't beating myself
Yeah.
up. I didn't get a 5-minute meditation or an hour workout. So learn to adjust, get rid of perfection.
Right.
Perfection is an easy place to sit because it doesn't put any it stops you from taking action and possibly failing. So that's also another reason why perfection it's just so enticing for many people. But perfection is the enemy of progress every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one thing that you kind of touched on there, even if you're only working out for a minute, or even if you're only meditating for, 30 seconds, like just these very small things where people are like, well, what's the point? Well, the point is you're a person who does this every day.
Yeah.
right? And that's the magic of all of this kind of stuff too, right? If you really are doing it, even if it's a little bit, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes here, but if you're that kind of person who's doing this every day, amazing things will result for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And even not to pull too far aside on this, because yeah, I love this, again, perfection or anti-perfection mindset, as it were. But yeah, you do it every day, or you do it fairly regularly, more
I
often
was
than
gonna say
not.
maybe even every day
Yeah.
was his own roadblock, right?
Yeah,
It's the
that's
consistency,
perfection
right?
in
It's
itself.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, maybe it's not even a workout every day or instant, but yeah, that kind of idea of
Or
like
more often than not, yeah.
more often than not. Exactly,
Yeah,
more often
people
than not.
get that perfection mindset. This is actually a good sort of side topic or a related topic is people with the perfection mindset. Maybe they're adjusting, maybe they're able to stick to their intended plans. But there is another pitfall that I guess is part of these mistakes that beginners make, is putting too much value in the streak. So,
Mm,
oh, I started today and I ate healthy and I worked out. Tomorrow I ate healthy and worked out. Wednesday I did this, and then you get one day where something again goes sideways. Maybe you adjust, maybe you don't. Maybe you literally don't have time for whatever it might be, and you get next to nothing, and you literally pass out on the sofa at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. The point is,
right.
in your mind, whatever it might be, that streak was broken. And then, of course, what happens? Oh, man, well, you know what? I messed up today. I'm just going to restart Monday or next week or whatever. This happens a lot on the weekends.
Yeah.
Friday night. Friday night is one where, oh, well, you know what? I just had a burger and fries. Well, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna not worry about any sort of healthy eating or exercise. I'll pick it up Monday.
Until
Or
Monday. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
always until Monday.
always until Monday. Always until Monday. So, but yeah, it's the same sort of thing, that putting too much faith and putting too much importance in the streak. And yeah, that again, you can see it all comes back to perfection in that one. Whereas, if I do have something where I eat a meal that's maybe not quite what I wanted to do, maybe it's a little more indulgent than I thought, or I have some sweets or whatever. Again, I don't beat myself up, self compassion, and I just get right back on it, whether it's later in the meal or whether it's the next meal or whatever it might be. So yeah, don't let perfect be the enemy of progress here. Just really check in with yourself and reflect on yourself if you're doing that on a regular basis, because the more you can get through that and the more you can kind of get rid of that cycle of trying to be perfect, not being perfect because no one is, and beating yourself up. As soon as you get out of that cycle, one, you're going to have a lot more fun in this whole process. You're not going to be beating yourself up constantly, because that has no place to be. And then two, you're going to do a lot more in all of your habits, and you're going to make a lot more progress. So making more progress and feeling better about it, I mean, this should be an easy sell. But again, so many people get caught up in that perfection mindset and in that trap in many different ways, as we just outlined. So
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Continuing on this gym kind of thought of stuff, I kind of, you're kind of the expert here. Maybe list a couple exercises. One that's perhaps overrated that you see people kind of like maybe focusing too much on, or they get all messed up when somebody's in the squat rack and they can't do something else, and maybe something that's underrated as far as nobody ever does this, or I never see people training this, but there's a lot of bang for your buck there or something.
let's see. I'm gonna make some enemies, I think, with the overrated
Yeah, it's
exercise.
okay.
That's
We're
okay.
we're 40 some minutes. We've lost all our enemies at this point. Now we're just friends.
Yeah, no problem. So in terms of overrated, a couple things. One, hip thrusts. So hip thrusts are where, or I'm sorry, heavy hip thrusts. So these are where people will get themselves set up, shoulders up onto a bench, put a barbell on their hips, and then thrust up. And time again, I see people loading up just ridiculous amounts of weight. So one, it tends to take up a lot of equipment in a public gym, which is an issue. But two, I think it's an exercise that you can just get a lot more bang for the buck if you're doing deadlifts, if you're doing one-legged hip thrusts, rather than these heavy hip thrusts. If you're putting so much weight in something, then that's probably an indication that you're not being like, you need so much weight to be stressed and to adapt. It just might not be the best exercise. So I honestly think that one is a bit overrated. There are some machines that make it a lot easier now, and if you want to go for that, rock and roll. But that's one that never made it into my program or my clients' programs too often. We would do single leg work to make sure the glutes are firing off, but like loading up a heavy barbell with 300, 400, 500 pounds and hip thrusting it wasn't anything that I didn't see a huge benefit of over something else like a deadlift, which has a lot more other benefits. Another one I see as well too a lot. This is especially in the bodyweight community and sort of gymnastics adjacent community is what they call the heavy. Again, this is the other one with like a heavy version of it, of the Jefferson curl. And this is where you grab a weight in your hands. You're generally standing on like a bench or a box, and you curl over, and your back literally curls over, and you lower your arms down. And again, we'll have videos of this.
Yeah. We'll do B-roll footage of it here. But I know you're talking. I've seen people do this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one, I'm in my 40s. That's a young person's exercise. But seriously, it's one of those things that it stresses the back and it stresses the joints in a way that I don't think is necessarily the best for longevity. I don't think that there is a benefit to that couldn't be gained from something with an exercise with a slightly more neutral spine. So since we're putting a lot of stress on the facets of the back, again, you might get some benefits, of course, with mobility doing it, but I think the long-term view and the longevity for a lot of people, I just don't think it's a smart choice as well too. So yeah, heavy Jefferson curls and heavy hip thrusts. If you want to go lighter on both of those, I think there's benefit on that, but the heavy stuff, not as much benefit. And I think,
and what I'm kind of hearing for this is maybe some more awkward positions. If you're going heavy with it, it's not to say it's a recipe for disaster, but you maybe are inviting, just some.
With the Jefferson curl, it's also just a matter of the wear on the joint. It's like if you open up a door, I could hang on that door and open it back and forth and put stress on that door downwards as I move it back and forth. And the hinges will be able to do that for 100 repetitions, whatever, but it's not the best thing for the hinges.
Yeah.
Same thing with the spine.
That's a great analogy.
It's not putting it in the most optimal position. And they've shown in terms of back issues, it's a lot of times it's the fatigue and accumulation over many, many reps of suboptimal positions that cause issues, not necessarily a matter of, I did this once and it, people always have that in their minds with the back. The back is, and again, another thing we could do an entire talk on, but with the back, people think it's, I was just doing this and my back went out. Like they think it's like a single instance.
Right.
There's so many times, there's so many things that led up to that, It's
everything that happened before you tweaked your back. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back, sort of.
I was waiting for that joke. I'm glad you finished it. So
I am not above. I am not above.
but that's exactly it. So I think those two, again, as I mentioned, I think those two for many different reasons. There's some lighter variations that have some benefit, but the heavier variations, very limited, and I don't think good for a lot of people that I see doing it. On a brighter note, let's see. Yeah,
I was going to say, what's
underrated.
What's the underrated?
Underrated. So I won't mention something that's like I think it's almost a given, like the basics, like I am deadlifting, I'm picking something off the ground. I think that's an incredibly valuable thing, but that's going to make anyone's list about a helpful exercises. Also squatting with something up around your body, front or back, whatever, I think is also a really important thing. I think that two things. One is going to be one where you'll think, okay, this is a pretty cool exercise. Two, you're going to think like, I've never heard that before in my life. But one that just in terms of functionally can be helpful for a lot of people and just stresses a lot of things is this is a heavy one-armed dumbbell farmer's walk. So just imagine going up to a squat rack, going up to a dumbbell rack, picking up a heavy dumbbell with one hand and just walk around with it. And you can think about all the different ways that stresses the body. Like it's stressing your grip, it's stressing your body and your midsection in a way that's anti-rotational. So many times we work the midsection in a sort of flexion movement way, like back and forth. But if you really think about the function of the midsection, the function of the core, it's actually to resist movement, right? Like I'm not sitting here at my desk doing this, hopefully not, usually not most days. Like many times it's if I'm picking up something or I'm doing something, I want to have that stiffness through the midsection. So you're learning stiffness by grabbing that heavy dumbbell and not having it move you all around. You're then moving and walking around as well too. So I'd say very functional, because so many times we're picking up something. We're not just picking it up at, I have to pick up a heavy box. I don't
Yeah.
just pick it up and put it down.
Yeah.
I usually
So,
have to pick it.
so I'm
I have to pick it up
envisioning
and
this.
move
You're
it
doing
someplace.
you're just doing a weight in one arm. So or you're talking both, like a weight in each arm. Like what's this actually look like?
You can grab both if you want, just do a regular farmer's walk. But if we're talking about, like, again,
Yeah,
very
what you were
niche
specifically talking
exercises,
about, you're
just one, just one.
okay.
Yeah, because you can
Okay.
think about it in your head. Like if you got two dumbbells, that's also great as well too. A farmer's walk is also a fantastic exercise. But if you're grabbing with one and you just have one, then there's a
Yeah.
lot more. There's a lot more demand on the midsection
Yeah.
to
Right.
keep
Because you're
things
trying to
steady,
balance yourself
and
and
then you're
yeah.
walking around. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
honestly, I'll invite anyone listening right now. Just go to the gym, warm up a bit, but grab grab the heaviest dumbbell you can off the rack, walk around with it, put it down, grab it with the other hand, walk around with it, and tell me how you feel. And you can
Yeah.
feel everything from top to bottom. It just feels like that, like farm strength. It feels like that good,
Yeah.
like real world strength. So that checks off a lot of boxes. So that one in particular, I might not, I wouldn't put that as like the main exercise, but I think that would be a really good exercise to do near the end, just to move you around different ways. So.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
So that's one that I've definitely liked. The second one, uh, less of an exercise, I'd say, but more of a physical skill. But this is something I actually, my athletes looked at me like I had three heads when I actually did this in a class. But falling, learning how to fall. Now, this is something that you're like, wait, what? Like, what's the importance, or how do I learn this? First of all, think about the different sports that need to learn how to fall.
Yeah.
Like when someone gets tackled in rugby and football and any number of sports, like contact sports like that, like they know how to fall because they've done it so many times.
Sure.
I've taken Japanese and Brazilian jiu-jitsu
I was
day
gonna say,
one.
yeah, the warmed up's all about falling. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, yeah, both of them, especially Japanese jiu-jitsu with a lot more throwing exercises that we had in practice. Yeah, it was all about falling, and it was all about falling correctly and safely. So that's something that is not it's not intuitive. It's not something that, like, oh, we just naturally know how to fall. Maybe kids do, but as adults, and I'm sure we all have stories, or we know people with stories of they fell, they put their arm out, and they broke the wrist, the collarbone. Unfortunately, of course, with a lot of older adults, a fall can be fatal, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So learning how to fall safely is something that I was teaching break falls in one of my CrossFit classes. Again, they all thought I was a bit crazy, but bless them, they all went through with it. But it's something that, again, is a skill that none of us really learn unless we are in some sort of specialized sport
Right.
or martial art. But I think that is a valuable one, quite honestly. And it's something of all the stuff that I've done over the years. That's one that I'm like, man, you know what? I really think that more people
Yeah.
could benefit from learning how to fall safely.
Oh, 100%. I mean, once you said it, it immediately made sense to me. Where I'm like, oh yeah, this is. I mean, we're all gonna fall at some point in our lives, and
Yeah,
you haven't trained for it. If this, if the first time you have to catch yourself is the first time you're falling accidentally, like you're not gonna have.
you're gonna hurt something. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna hurt something. You it has to be instinctual. It can't be something you're
And the
not gonna
only
think
way you
about
make
it.
it instinctual is to practice.
Yeah, and I'd say for anyone who is, if this is a light bulb over anyone's head, I would say to, enroll in like a beginning jujitsu class and a
Yeah.
judo class, keto class. Like there's a lot of different things that are available for low or no cost. I think I've got one that's free or very low cost in my local community center, like an Aikido class. But again, it's day one. That's what they're teaching you,
Oh yeah.
how to fall
Yeah.
safely, so that, yeah, when you get thrown for higher level skills, you can do it safely.
I
And
I
yeah,
also took a jujitsu class at one point, and
okay.
that was my joke. Is like I just learned how to fall today. Like,
If that's all you learn, honestly, like,
no, yeah, like it was
yeah.
useful. It was useful. Like I
I,
never did
I,
it.
I've never hip thrown someone on the streets, but I have fallen plenty of times in various activities and found that very helpful. So yeah, it's one of those things that yeah, exactly like you said, you're going to fall at some point, so you might as well learn to do it right. So
Yeah. Jim, there's two more things that I want to hit us up. I realize I've taken a decent amount of your time here. I want to ask about what advice you would give to somebody who themselves wanted to be a coach. If somebody wanted to, I don't know, they want to be in your shoes, they want to run a coaching program or something
They
like
have to
that.
fight me in a duel at
Yeah, the
sunset.
Highlander
So
rules.
good luck. Yeah, that can be only one.
Yeah, what would you advise? Is somebody maybe just thinking about what careers they want or anything like that? Like
Mhm.
how do you become a coach?
In terms of that, let's see. There's a couple different things I could probably say. First off, in terms of just logistics, figure out what certifications that you need.
Mm,
So, depending on where you are in the country, in the world, there's different certifications that will hold weight and be what facilities are looking for. And that kind of leads to my next part is figure out where you want to go. It's like, do I want to work at a gym? Do I want to work with clients? Do I want to maybe go down like an athletic trainer path? All those are going to require different levels of education and certifications. A really great way to figure out what certifications that you need beyond just Google is take a look at job postings. You're like, you know what? I go to my gym every day, and I would love to be a personal trainer on the floor there. I think that'd be a great way to kind of get my feet wet and take a look and see what their job posting notes are. Or ask a manager and say, what certifications are you looking for? Many times, like there's a number of different certifications that will get your foot in the door for being a personal trainer. For me, like I said, I knew which one I wanted, and I knew it was like a highly valued and regarded cert. So yeah, make sure you know what you're doing before you kind of put the effort into it. I would also say on that same note, it's something that being a coach, being a personal trainer, there is a higher turnover rate. I have zero idea if this is a current number, but I was always hearing that the turnover rate was something like a year and a half, 2 years for people in the industry, which is incredible, which is a pretty high turnover,
Yeah, for sure.
all things considered. I would say if you want to do this, there are ways to get your feet wet without taking a huge step and huge jump into it. So maybe maybe you're working toward your cert and do that. That's definitely recommended. Make sure you get the knowledge. But then in terms of applying that knowledge and figuring out if you actually want to do this, maybe you're applying and you are training people a couple nights on the weekdays or on the weekends or whatever it might be, but you just have a couple hours, so you put a little bit of skin in the game and you just see whether you like it or not, rather than taking the full on swing into the profession. I would definitely recommend that too, because yeah, you might get into it and you go, wow, this is everything I wanted it to be. It's challenging, but I still love it. Or you might say, man, I hate this. I like working out, but I hate working with people. Again, and
Yeah, yeah.
I've definitely seen some coaches that are in that unfortunate latter category. So yeah, make sure you like it. Make sure you like it. And this personal training and coaching is fortunately a profession where you can just step into it a little bit as you need to. A lot of professions don't have that same sort of ability, so definitely be able to do that. Let's see, what was yeah, I think that's about the biggest thing in terms of just getting into it, because yeah, you want to make sure that you love what you do, because that energy will transfer and carry over to your clients. They'll be able to read it if you're energized and passionate or not. And yeah, I don't want anyone stepping into a profession that they don't want to do. No one wants
Yeah.
that. So
No, I mean, that makes I think two great points there of kind of ease into it too, but then also just like even acknowledging this turnover rates of just like, hey, this is maybe not what it appears at first. So try it and give a sense of it and all this kind of stuff before you kind of like burn the boats or whatever. And there's no turning back.
yeah, just because you like working out doesn't necessarily mean you like being a trainer. So I like both,
Yeah, that's
fortunately,
great way to
and,
put
and
it.
a lot of people do, but that is not always the case. So
Cool. All right, we're switching gears completely from the fitness world. Jim, one
okay.
thing I've always kind of appreciated about you is you're a Renaissance man, and you got a lot of different interests and hobbies. What are
I
some of your
appreciate
hobbies
that.
outside of fitness? What do you do when this isn't going on?
Oh, I just work out. I just work out all day and
That's it.
sleep.
That's it. Yeah.
In terms of other hobbies, I like camping a lot. I haven't been for a bit of time, but that's definitely something. Camping and hiking. I was a Boy Scout back in the day, Eagle Scout, and I loved doing that. That you can kind of see the same sort of vibe of like something that's physical, that's hands-on. It's just something that I've always enjoyed. Again, I don't know how I sit at a desk half the day. So camping and all the sort of satellite skills that are required for that. On the same sort of note as well too, cooking. Really love cooking. That's actually one way that I absolutely love to decompress at the end of the day. I'll finish up, close the laptop up for the day, get into the kitchen, and I'm cooking up, whatever it might be. I love that, and it's fun, of course, too, because it does, of course, blend a little bit of what I do in my profession, because
Yeah, there's
cooking healthy recipes and this and that is definitely a thing. But even beyond that, like I cook plenty of things that are not air quotes healthy, but again, just the physical act of moving around and chopping stuff up and prepping stuff and cooking up and looking up recipes. Like I absolutely love it. That's definitely a skill that my wife appreciates. she definitely loves that I cook all the time. But yeah, that's definitely fun. It's funny. She's more the baker. She loves that.
Mm.
And I've baked plenty of times, but I'm just like meh. But cooking is like, yeah, I love cooking. Baking so. She's the exact opposite. So that's why that's what you need to find for a happy relationship. We're giving relationship advice now. Find someone with a complementary skill sets.
I'm realizing I might need to get divorced now. My wife.
Yeah. Sorry to hear.
Yeah.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah. Well, this isn't public, right?
So yeah, camping, cooking. I also love music. I absolutely love music. I've played a little bit, nothing professional like you, but just going to shows, listening to music, just exploring different bands and going down that rabbit hole has always been fun for as long as I've enjoyed personal training. So I'd say those are probably some of the three biggest ones that kind of come to mind. So
awesome. Okay, we're gonna do a nerd rapid fire here.
Uh-oh.
Favorite movie?
Man, you know what? Matrix or Fight Club, and I know they came out in the same year, but both those were just like blowing my mind that same year. So yeah, one of the two there. Flip a coin.
I like it. Favorite video game?
I would say the one that again blew my mind when I first saw it was the original Metroid for Nintendo. I remember they had a Nintendo set up at my local Sears, and my mom was off shopping, and she just said, "Oh, look, there's a video game. Stand in front of it." And seeing a kid play it, then being able to play it myself, I was like, "Wow, this game is incredible. I cannot wait to get a Nintendo myself and play this game." And that just built my love up for it. Honorable mention, you might not be able to see it behind me, but I love Mario. I've got a lot of Mario and Nintendo things behind me. Super Mario 3 was also another one that is near and dear to my heart, also because it was in The Wizard, but that's beyond the point. So,
okay, last one for rapid fire. Show that you've binged lately or been into or something like that. What's your TV? If I went through your browsing history, what's there?
That we watched recently. I feel like we just finished
something good, something worth sharing. Yeah.
We watch a lot of the. This is a great sleep time routine. We watch a lot of the Great British Bake Off. So this combines a lot of stuff that both we like to do, and if you've ever never seen it, it's a very calming, relaxing show. So great thing to watch before that. We're also watching. We're caught up now. What We Do in the Shadows.
I've heard that's great.
Oh, so funny, so funny.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I've heard it's great.
Yeah, I guess I'm also a bit of a comedy nerd as well too, and having Matt Berry in that show is amazing. He is like the most talented comedian ever, and just absolutely hilarious. So we've watched a lot of that. Then we've had a couple different sci-fi movies, sci-fi series as well too, but those are some of the big ones. So
awesome. Okay, I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
It's potentially the most important question I will ask you.
Yep.
Which would you rather face? The robot apocalypse or the zombie apocalypse? To help here, the robot apocalypse I'm envisioning is kind of Terminator style.
Okay.
and the
Okay.
zombie apocalypse, I'm kind of envisioning is kind of Walking Dead style. So if that helps you kind of visualize these kind of things.
Yeah. Yes. I've seen a fair amount of the Terminators, and we watched all the Walking Dead. We stuck through to the very end. So
Oh, good for
I
you.
don't
They
know. I don't
lost
know
me
why.
somewhere, but
I don't know
okay.
why. They lost you. They lost you during the farmhouse season,
Oh, that's
like
funny.
everyone else. Anyway, yeah. If I was choice between robots and zombies, I would have to pick to be a part of the zombie apocalypse, because I know the robot apocalypse, they are not going to stop and they're going to smash through
Mm.
all walls. Whereas,
Yeah,
like,
nobody wants to face Arnold. Yeah.
yeah, whereas a strong chain link fence is going to stop most zombies. So I'm all about that. I'm all about living that life. The Last of Us or whatever, any of those situations as well too seem a lot better than yeah, trying to fight Arnold or um, the T-1000. So.
Yeah, I could also see you becoming your own ruthless overlord of one kind of camp.
You know what? If situation demands it, then yeah, I'll be whatever I need to be. So,
Awesome, Jim. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing
a
everything
lot of fun.
today. This has been amazing. If you've been watching, thank you for joining us, and
Absolutely.
you'll find us more on the internet. So stay tuned.
You got it. Nerdfitness.com. Everyone, stay strong, stay nerdy. See ya.
All right,
Bye.
love it.